Welcome back to this week's edition of Career Hunter. This week we'll pick up right where we left off with our interview with David E. Perry, co-author of the book Guerrilla Marketing for Job Hunters 3.0. This interview, it's a great interview. No kidding, no fooling. It's chock full of a lot of great information on how to get your resume past the HR pile and in front of the decision makers to land your next job. We follow up with more information on tips and tactics that you can use to put yourself ahead of the rest and get the job that you want. So, I'm not going to waste your time with a lot of pre-interview information and all of that. I'm just going to go ahead, dive right in. Let's finish up this interview so you can be more effective in your job search. Here we go. And so, one thing, one point that I think is being made clear here is, with the best practices of doing your research, knowing why you want to work there beyond, just having a paycheck and sitting down. You don't want to have an interview. You want to have a business meeting, or at least go into that meeting with that frame of mind that this is a business meeting, so you find yourself more of an equal rather than a scared person who's afraid of, saying all the wrong things, so that you come across more relaxed, natural, and, and more confident.
Correct. I wish I'd said it that succinctly.
Thank you. And now here's where we get to have a little bit of fun here, and I want and I want to ask you, what are some of the more creative ways that people have reached out or demonstrated how qualified they are for a position? What has been kind of the over-the-top, most creative ways that have actually worked?
That anybody that's been pulled on me, or that anyone else can use,
or that anyone else can use, that you've either seen done, or that you've heard of actually having been done.
Oh geez, there's a lot. My best friend, Kevin Watson, died a couple of years ago, but Kevin was for all of the tactics in all the guerrilla books, with maybe one or two exceptions. Kevin was an engineer, and over the last, I guess about 25 years that we were best friends, I had multiple jobs and literally hundreds of interviews under every circumstance. So things that consistently work are micro-targeting the hiring manager. So you pick your top 10, that's great. You got to go and do the research on who that person's boss's boss is, and you go after them with a micro-targeted resume. Here's exactly, it's like we did these guerrilla resumes, you're aware of that. When we did Kevin's, I was just doing a compilation a month ago, we actually did 17 different resumes. All similar information, but he was an engineer, and depending on whether or not he was trying to reach out and engage a CEO, a president, a CTO, a VP engineering, a VP product management, he had a specific set of skills and experiences that he encapsulated in that resume that got their attention. So we did this with the Trojan thank you letter, which I think you're aware of. The Trojan thank you note is, we came up with that, Kevin Donlan and I came up with that on stage in Detroit in 2009 because someone had a problem in the audience. You'd have to watch the video to figure out who it was. I don't remember. This person had a problem. We said, how would you like to control? And it just came off the top of our heads. And I said, how would you like to be able to control the mood of the person who reads your resume? Would that be helpful? would it be good to have them automatically be in a great frame of mind and happy when they read your resume? Of course it would. So we showed them how to, you write, do your guerrilla resume, do your guerrilla cover letter, fold it all up. And what comes in a little envelope about this big, 3 by 5 inch envelope? Thank you cards and birthday invitations, right? You're not getting a subpoena. You're not getting divorce letters. No, it's a thank you note. So when you see these little cards, you're smiling, right? Yeah. So we show people how to do that and put it in that envelope and what you say and so that when someone opens this thing, they go, first thing that says, well, thank you for reading my letter, or thank you for reading my resume. But they're already in a great mood, so they chuckle and they read the whole thing. Well, 98% of getting an interview is getting their attention for about that much time so that you get your pitch. Seth Godin calls it interruption marketing, right? We watch TV every day. You see thousands of ads. Maybe one of them gets our attention. Most don't, because they're interrupting our television show. How dare they? Most resumes interrupt a hiring manager's day. They're not looking for you. How dare you reach out to them? Oh my God, why am I going to read this? And if it looks like black, and all resumes look the same pretty much. It's black text on white paper. It reads the same with a big, a 5-inch profile of I am a gregarious, outgoing, competent, creative, blah, 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 blah. You can parrot, right? All these words are all the same. So they look the same, so it gets thrown out. So when you do something like the Trojan thank you letter, or do it in the thank you note card, it gets their attention, they read it. When you do the Starbucks coffee cup caper, and anybody can go on Google and type in Starbucks coffee cup caper gorilla, and you get the instructions on how to do it. I had a guy a couple of years ago, Greg Cork was his name. He's a brilliant marketer, and we're living in Ottawa and couldn't get a marketing job. We sat down one day, after working together for about a week, sat down one day and I said, well, why don't you do a YouTube? This goes back like 8 or 9 years ago, right before anybody else thought to do this. So why don't you do a YouTube video on how to get more hits on your YouTube video and do it for marketing people? So he literally he did a YouTube video on how to get more YouTube hits and sent it out there. And sure enough, he got a whole pile of hits and quite a few interviews and a couple of offers. Had a guy who contacted me, so YouTube is very possible. Had a guy, Grant, can't remember Grant's last name, but kid's getting out of college in California, and he calls me up one day. He'd read the first or second version of the book, I can't remember. Great guy. Calls me up and he says, I'm looking to get a job in a PR agency. I said, okay, that can't be that hard. He said, I want a gay-friendly PR agency. I said, okay, whereabouts? He said, California or, whatever. I said, fine, do the research. It's not going to be that hard to find them. So he did the research, found the companies that were open to his lifestyle, and he targeted them with a Facebook advertising campaign. First time a Facebook advertising campaign had ever been done by a job hunter. It's in the book. Many have been done in the meantime. But he targeted these particular companies, and in particular these individuals, with an ad, which when you hit his ad, took you back to his LinkedIn profile and took you back to his web page, which had his resume and his LinkedIn profile. And I think he targeted 10, got 6 hits, 4 interviews, 3 offers. In the case of a couple of weeks. So there are limitless possibilities to what you can do. And when you do something creative, whether it works or doesn't work, and most times it will, what you're doing really is you're stepping up, just like you would on American Idol. You can't go to American Idol, walk on the the little stage they have, and say to Randy Jackson, "Hey, Randy, I'm a great singer." You're on the way to Hollywood, baby. No, they want you to sing, right? They want you to perform. This is the same thing. Don't tell me you're creative. Don't tell me you're wonderful. Don't tell me you're dynamic. Show me. This is one of the ways to do it. And people come up with hundreds of different ways to do this every year. In fact, we're just debating it now. We're probably going to have a Guerrilla Marketing for Job Hunters is going into its 10th year as a book. Still on Amazon, still in the top 1% of the top 1% on Amazon. I think we're going to have a contest on creative strategies and see where that goes. It help raise the profile of the book and raise the profile of the individuals that are looking for jobs. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And
All day long.
yeah, I know. I know we could probably go on forever about all the creative ways, but one follow-up question that I have. In today's market, you mentioned the Facebook ads, and Facebook ad is something that's being seen more and more, and we're becoming used to it. How successful is that continuing to be today? Say, someone does a Facebook dark post or an unpublished post, as part of their ad, now that we see those popping up all the time, is that still effective?
That's a great question. Let me ask you a question in return. How many people do you know that have actually done that?
For job hunting?
Yeah.
Honestly, myself, I haven't seen anybody. I just see all these companies marketing using the unpublished posts through the Facebook's power editor. And so, I'm seeing that, and I'm wondering if that would decrease the effectiveness. But I think you just made a really good point as far as, when I ask how effective it is, well, it's kind of hard to determine that if nobody's doing it.
Thank you very much. Yes, you win.
So, I was just thinking.
I'm about to have fun. We go to I give these seminars, right? Now I'm just about to kick off a 10-city tour called Put America Back to Work. And I intend to help 1 million people in the States land new opportunities. Because last month in America, do you know how many people got hired?
Oh, last month?
Last month.
Let's see here. I know it's a lot higher than what the job numbers reported by the
government. Pick a number, Jacob. Pick a number.
I would say, I don't know, maybe about 5-10 million.
Wow, that's a big number.
I'm probably on the low side of it.
That's how many people got hired?
In the last month?
Yeah.
I'm just going to stick with that number.
That's interesting. Nobody ever guesses that. And you're not that far off. When you ask most people how many people got hired in America, most people say, well, there are no jobs, maybe 10,000 or 50,000. Truth is, there were 4.5 million people hired in July. Didn't see that in the newspapers, did you?
No, all I saw was the official, 200,000 jobs created, but that doesn't, account for the, for those who are switching from one job to another. That's just saying new jobs, but people are getting hired, switching from company to company all the time.
Absolutely. You know how many jobs went unfilled? 4.8 million. So your guess was, so you take the 4.5 million that got hired and the 4.8 million that the jobs went unfilled, you got 9.3 million jobs that were in play last month. And you probably hit on the most important thing, Jacob, that no one pays attention to. The market is incredibly fluid. Last year in the States, there were 55 million employment transactions. What does that mean? That means people hired, people separated, and opportunities still open. And most people don't realize is we go back a month or two, there were 4.8 million openings. You didn't see that on the job boards. You didn't read that in the newspaper. Employers do not advertise anymore unless they're absolutely desperate. And the reason they don't is because in the States, when you advertise a job as an employer, you have to gather all the resumes, you have to quantify and legitimately explain why you hired the individual that you hired, and you got to keep all this stuff on record for equal opportunity legislation reasons. So if you run an ad, you don't get 50 or 100 resumes. You get 500 or 5,000, which, isn't bad because most companies have these applicant tracking systems, right? The black hole everybody talks about. So the technology takes care of some of it. But when you get 5,000 applications, you also get 5,000 voicemails, 5,000 emails to the hiring manager following it up. Why would they do that? No. What a hiring manager does now is they sit down and they think, okay, what do I really need? And they either reach out themselves, or they hire their internal recruiter, or they hire someone like me, and we will go out and use LinkedIn and social media, which is why this is so important. We'll go out and use LinkedIn to find those top 5 or 6 people that are exactly qualified for the job. We'll tap them on the shoulder and go, hey, take a look at these jobs. Why don't you take a look at this? That's how those jobs are filled. That's what people don't realize. That's what you just hit on. That's not even the hidden job market. That's just the job market that's not, in plain sight. On top of that, there's the hidden job market, and no one really knows how big that is, but it's probably as large. And the hidden job market is nothing more than when an employer has an issue, a problem that they want to solve, and they know they need to hire someone, and they haven't gotten around to doing it yet. That's a job in the hidden job market, and all of that can be found. And those jobs are much easier to find than playing, Russian roulette on the job boards, or job board roulette. And when you take your top 10 and you go after the hidden job market, you're dealing with a pool of 1. So instead of being 1 of 5,000 who might get the job, because 4,999 aren't, you're 1 of 1. So you get it or you don't. But your odds are way better.
Way better. Okay, and going on to some of the social media, we've discussed job boards, and one of the things that when I take a look at social media, it almost seems like social media is becoming the new job board. You can set up filters and everything for all the postings that have hashtag jobs, and
Correct.
even in specific location. So when you say job boards, are you also talking about the jobs advertised on, Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, and LinkedIn? Or are you just talking about the job boards, in a more traditional sense, such as Monster and Career Builder?
I was actually just talking about the traditional ones, because there's 52,000 job boards in the world. Average number of employees, by the way, 3. Average revenue, $1 million US. Just FYI.
Okay.
That's how big the industry is. And there's no one place you can go to put your resume up on all of them. Doesn't exist. So, how do you beat that game? You beat that game with digital breadcrumbs. You beat that game by being easy to find. You beat that by having good experience that's on your LinkedIn profile, or your Facebook profile, or your Twitter profile, because you can put all that stuff in so that you can be found. So you establish your digital breadcrumbs with your experience, your attitude, what you talk about, what you look for in opportunities, and your experience. It's all about Hansel and Gretel, right? They go out in the woods where their father was going to cut their head off. I mean, not everybody knows that side of the fairy tale, but they come back because they've left those crumbs, right? Those little breadcrumbs all the way back to the house. Well, when you're establishing your career, leave those breadcrumbs. And LinkedIn is it's like a giant loaf. Boom. Yeah. And most people have nothing on their LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, I know that
where they worked, and it's insane.
Yeah, I know that more people my age and even younger have not really utilized LinkedIn to as much as we do Facebook, Twitter, and yet if I remember correctly, 93% of recruiters are looking for people on LinkedIn. And if you don't really have a profile there, you're not going to be found. And when I take a look at my friends, yes, we have LinkedIn profiles, but it usually goes something as no summary, job title, year, dates held, and that's it. No information, no descriptions.
Correct. And you're shooting yourself in the foot, because there's like 200,000 recruiters that go out every Monday to Friday looking for guys just like you. So why make their lives any more difficult? Or yours? Make it easy. Make it easy so that you get the call, And then you can ask the questions you need to ask to decide if you want to talk to this person or not. But at least get the call. You're not going to get the call unless they find you. They're not going to find you unless you put in the keywords that they look for. And this is not new to college grads, Jacob. I did a talk at the American Automotive and I can't remember, huge engineering forum in Detroit a couple of years ago. And I said to the group, I think it's in the book, so I won't repeat the whole thing. But, I asked the question, how many exhaust systems engineers are there in Detroit? We went around the room. Eventually, we agreed there's probably 5,000. I said, how many jobs for exhaust systems engineers are there in Detroit? This goes back 5 years. And we went around the room, and they all agreed, none. So there's like 700 people in this room. And they're all engineers, way smarter than me. I'm just a very simple BA, right? So, and I asked the question, well, that's really interesting, because at 5:30 this morning, I found 13 of them. 13 of them on Twitter. I said, and I found 20, I can't remember the exact numbers, 23 on Facebook, and there were 30 on LinkedIn. So let me ask you guys, show of hands around the room, how many exhaust systems engineers have we got? And there was like 11 of them. And I said, stand up. And they all stood up, and I said, if I typed in, because I'm an engineer, I'm not an engineer, I'm a very simple recruiter, right? This is how recruiters think. Okay, I'm about as simple as they get. If I'm looking for an exhaust systems engineer in Detroit, and I go to LinkedIn, what do you think I type in?
Exhaust systems engineer.
Thank you. Exhaust systems engineers, Detroit. Nobody in the room guessed that. And then I said, okay, so if I type, it was bordering on insulting, right? But that's what I'm like. They're going to remember. I said, but I type exhaust systems engineers, you have not. I said, I use those words so that I would have found you. I said, remain standing. If I would have found you, well, they all sat down. I said, and that's the point. You have to use the technology, especially keywords as part of the technology. You have to input in your profile the same way recruiters look for you. And it doesn't matter whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter, or any of the other, or Google+. We all use keywords and Boolean search strings to find people. If you don't give us enough detail about who you are, what you like, and what you do, you will never be found. If you're not found, you're going to be looking for a long time. And let me put it a slightly different way. It's easier to pick up the phone and say, hello, than it is to get the other person on the other end of the phone to pick up the phone when you're calling. And say, oh, hello? So make it easier on yourself.
Okay.
Be found.
And now I have another question here related to LinkedIn. I'm sure you've been asked this a million times. It's as far as I can see, it's the big LinkedIn's great debate. Your profile, should it be written more like a resume, or because it's social media, should it be written in a more personal manner?
So, yes. And what I mean by that is it has to be both, right? Because what you want to do is you want to be more social in my opinion, it's only my opinion, you want to be more social in your summary section. And then you want to have great detail about what you're responsible for, those responsible for us in the sections where you actually have held jobs. And there's a section now in LinkedIn, and the recruiting industry fought for this for years. You can now put in projects. Well, if you're an exhaust systems engineer in Detroit, or exhaust systems engineer student, in a project in school that dealt with exhaust systems engineering, you can put it into a project section and get as much detail as you want to. And that makes you easier to find. Does that answer the question, Jacob?
Yes. I believe it has
Jacob?
answered what. If I'm understanding you correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong. In the summary section, you want to be more, social and, talk more
You want to be a real person.
A real person. And then in the work experience section, you want to be more professional, like you are in your resume. And then it was recruiters that fought for the, projects to be added in there, so that you could say who you worked with, what position it was in. And so I've looked at that. I've been looking a lot more at LinkedIn and trying to get it more updated. And I see that, they are doing more of a more of a portfolio where you can add in the graphics and videos and everything like that to try and better display, to really promote it as being more than just your online resume these days, but rather an online portfolio. And so
it's your billboard on the the information highway. It's going to be there forever. You're going to have your LinkedIn profile and your LinkedIn email address forever, until you decide to, leave this earth, whether it's in a rocket ship or not. So you need to spend some time taking care of that, because it is the one constant you will have for the next 50 years will be your LinkedIn profile.
Okay. And then getting onto some of the other social media platforms, because you go into extensive detail on LinkedIn on the book as far as the job search, the people search, and then using advanced Google search in order to try and find these people elsewhere on the web to make the connections. So let's take briefly here on some of the other social media platforms. Facebook, everybody's on there. It's, undoubtedly the largest platform, for social media. And there's a lot of people talking about whether, you should, use it, for your business networking and connecting with contacts and organizing them in lists and all of that. And, there's a lot of work involved versus no, keep that, just strictly personal, keep all businesses out. But the one question that I have, about it, um, that may be interesting is, before we have, that big debate on Facebook, if I'm a job seeker and I'm going around and I'm finding you on Facebook and I want to connect with you, what's the chances that you're going to accept, a friend request and let's a stranger into your personal profile just because they want to connect with you on a professional level?
Great question, rarely asked. In my opinion, I think that Facebook is for personal use, not for business, not for job hunting. More and more people are taking it that way. More and more people, job hunters, have had enough in terms of being asked for access to their Facebook profile by employers, which, by the way, I think you just tell them straight up that you're number one in my book. And if an employer wants that kind of information, you probably really don't want to work there. Personal opinion only.
Okay. So,
massive invasion of privacy. I have suggested to people here that be kept for social. To answer your question, would I accept a request? No, I wouldn't. Now, as a recruiter, do I use Facebook to find people? Absolutely. And there are ways to, as recruiters, there are ways to get around the back door to find out more about you through your Facebook profile. But I won't ask you to friend me. I'm going to pick up the phone and call you, or I'm going to go look at your LinkedIn profile. That's what your LinkedIn profile is for.
Okay. So, if I understand that, it's you're not going to try and friend somebody that you want to know more about, and you're not going to, accept friend requests from recruiters wanting to, or not from recruiters, but from job hunters wanting to, turn Facebook into a network. It's just more of a, if you don't know them, you're not going to accept any friend request or into your profile. You're just going to keep that strictly, friends, family, and, people you actually know.
And recruiters will tell you the exact opposite. So it really comes down to, so yes, but it really comes down to a personal choice. And I get 3,100 emails a day because of the books. I've got three levels of spam filters on my corporate email, and I still get people who call me because they do their due diligence. And I'm not suggesting anybody do that. On my home number. So I like my personal life private, and I keep it that way, and I keep Facebook private. And as a business guy, how much time do I really have to spend on Facebook? Recruiters that are at a lower level, that are recruiting college people, yeah, probably more so. But you'd be more effective as a job hunter to actually join a couple of discussion groups on LinkedIn or discussion groups on Facebook that are around the areas of interest that you have that you want to work in, than just loading up your Facebook profile and accepting recruiters. That personal opinion again.
Okay.
And Twitter, it's the same thing.
Okay, Twitter's the same thing, because I was going to ask about Twitter here after Google Plus, but I was going to take it that Google Plus, is the same concept, that your personal profile is like Facebook, that you're only connecting with friends, family, and you're not using that for networking, as well. Is that your take on Google Plus too? Is that
Break it up on me there.
So is Google Plus, in your view, the same as Facebook, where your personal profile is your personal friends and family, and is Google Plus different in that it is acceptable to use your profile for networking?
So, in my opinion, again, Google Plus is acceptable for me anyway. That's how I use it. And what everybody has to remember is you only have so many hours in the day, right? As a job hunter, there's 86 bazillion things you can do every day to find a job. There are only a couple you need to do. So as a job hunter, you need to focus in on what you think is going to give you the return, the best return for the amount of energy and effort you expend. And in terms of social media, for sure, recruiters start with LinkedIn. If they can't find what they're looking for in LinkedIn, they will go to Facebook. If they can't find what they want in Facebook, they'll go to Twitter or Google+. So the question is, why can't they find what they're interested in LinkedIn? And the answer is, you gave it a little while ago. People don't fill out those profiles correctly or sufficiently. So I'm a big proponent of just do it once. Call me lazy, I don't care. But if you spend the time to, and by spend the time, I mean probably a day and a half, to properly fill out your LinkedIn profile, it's set it and forget it time, okay? It's like, I tell people, don't go to job. If you're going to go to job boards, because you really think that I'm crazy, then do the top 3 or the top 5 in your specific market space. Of the 52,000, you can't possibly get into them all, nor would you want to. And there's no central hub, so pick the top 5 that are going to do some good. If you're getting out of college, by the way, your alumni one is the first one, and your alumni on LinkedIn is the second one. But then you go to Indeed.com and Simply Hired. You set it up, and just like LinkedIn, you set it and forget it. Okay? In LinkedIn, recruiters are going to find you. They're going to come to you. With Indeed.com and Simply Hired, you've itemized what you're looking for. If that job appears anywhere in the world, and it's for you, they're going to send you a note saying, hey, by the way, Jacob, look at this job. Look at this job is for you. So set it and forget it, and then focus on the 10 employers, the 10 companies you want to work for. And what you've just done is you've given yourself, an extra 4 hours a day. Because a job hunt starts at 6 in the morning and ends at 4 in the afternoon, and you get a break in mid-morning for half an hour, you get a half an hour for lunch and a half an hour in the afternoon. So you get your full hour off like you would at any other job. It's a full-time job getting a job. Starts at 6 a.m., ends at 4. And most people don't start it until 9, and they surf the job board for half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. They see the same job that they applied to 3 weeks ago that they're perfect for. It's still up, and now they're feeling rejected, and they go do something else. They go walk the dog, mow the lawn, or clean the house. No. Don't do that. Control your life, and you do that by Indeed, simply hired, LinkedIn, set it, forget it, and then get on with the push for the other 9.5 hours of the day, going after what you want.
Okay, and I think I have gotten your views on social media outside of LinkedIn. Excuse me. And so your social media outside of LinkedIn, which is really, LinkedIn is better than all the rest, for finding the jobs. But in Twitter,
LinkedIn's like oxygen.
Yeah.
Okay? LinkedIn's like oxygen. You don't have it, you'll die.
Yeah.
Simple.
And a lot of people talk about networking on Twitter and all that, and I have, even as a young guy, I don't fully understand Twitter. I don't understand how you can make a meaningful connection in 140 characters or less. But I wanted to get your opinion on here, about controlling, your online presence, on a Google search, making sure that your information comes up first and giving a sense. What do you think about, having your blog site like a WordPress.com or, of any of the other blog sites where you blog about your experience, knowledge, thoughts about an industry, and then you use, like a Facebook page, a Google Plus page, and a Twitter account, as well as your LinkedIn as distribution channels for the content, so that during an advanced Google search,
That's exactly what I do.
okay, exactly what you do. So when a Google search comes through, from a recruiter, all your profiles are coming up first, and it all leads, basically is leading back to your blog site or, your LinkedIn influencer blog, but being able to go through. So social media is best used in the practice of a distribution channel of your content as a job hunter versus networking.
So you're going to have to give me that question again because...
Okay, so social media outside of LinkedIn, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Google Plus, is not so much, for, networking or building those connections, because they're not all that good at it, but they are good for distribution channels for your content to make yourself easier to find with all those breadcrumbs and making sure you're at the top of the Google searches. If I'm understanding you.
Yeah, I think the screen keeps going in and out. So I think what you asked me is, are the other social media sites good for distribution?
Yeah, better used as distribution, for displaying your knowledge to recruiters, than what they are as opportunities to create networks with people.
Yes, and that's the exact way the advertising industry works. If you bought shampoo in the last couple of months, you probably bought a product from Procter & Gamble. You know who Procter & Gamble is, right?
Yeah.
So Procter & Gamble will make a shampoo, they'll shoot an ad, and what do they do with it? Do they stick it on their LinkedIn profile?
No,
Do they put it on their website?
No, they put it on Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus, and probably
ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS, radio. Yeah, they're all just distribution channels for the ad, or in your case, for your expertise. That's all it about. That's all it's about. And all of those channels have one purpose, and that's to bring it straight back to Jacob.
okay.
All roads lead to Jacob. right?
I
That's
like
what it's
that.
about.
I may try and use that as an ad targeting a company at some point.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
You know, so I'll take that from you. Now, when doing that, though, would it be better to set up a page, like a Facebook page, or just use it as, from your personal profile, but have it as, a public post?
So the answer to that question is whatever is easiest for you to do.
Okay.
We're not all as sophisticated as, the brightest engineers out there. I certainly am not. When I started my blog years ago, like 7 or 8 years ago, I was on, I'm trying to remember the platform. And I wasn't on WordPress at the time. I was on another platform. And I would, but Amazon, LinkedIn, my WordPress blog, Twitter, and a couple of others have APIs. And at the time, 7 years ago, I was able to post on my blog, have it sucked through to the website for GM4JH, Global Marketing for Job Hunters, which got sucked through to Amazon, which got sucked through to Twitter. So I'd post it once, and the dominoes would all fall through about a half a dozen of these sites, and would go out. So it was great. Now all the social media sites really all want to be the best, so they don't play well with each other again. It's like the job board thing, right?
Yeah.
So you have to figure out, where are you going to get the biggest bang for your buck? The answer is LinkedIn. So what's the second biggest thing? The second biggest thing is probably having your own WordPress blog, whether it's .com or a self-hosted blog through GoDaddy, for example. If you've got a blog and you only ever do 3 or 4 posts, it doesn't matter. You'll be found, because so few people will spend the time to do any of the stuff we talk about today. Most people will spend more, in fact, most people do spend more time planning their honeymoon than their wedding. Okay? With undesirable results. Most people spend more time thinking about what they're going to do on the weekend than what they need to accomplish at work. So a lot of people think about stuff. Very few people actually put what they think about into action. So anyone listening today even takes one of these ideas we've talked about, you're already ahead of 99% of the people who look just like you. Because you took action, whereas most people go, oh, that's a really good idea, and then go back to reading the newspaper or watching television. That's just a simple fact. So do whatever's, my point in this is, do whatever easiest for you. Don't make it overly complicated, because just doing something puts you ahead of 99.9% of everybody else. Just like what you're doing today. These interviews with me and, the really smart people that you interview over the next coming months, all it's going to do is get you more notoriety, because you've asked great questions, you're well prepared, and you're now going to share this. And the more people that watch this and share it, the more people learn about Jacob and what you do. So it's easy if you do something.
Yeah, and one of the things that this may be a bit of a plug, but I would think podcasting is a great way to stand out in the crowd. I mean, think about this. If, let's say, you started a podcast and you're interviewing, the Seth Godins or the Gary Vaynerchuks, or maybe even some of the, maybe not, that high caliber, but maybe a little bit lower. Let's say, you're interviewing, executives and CEOs and everything, and you have that, distributed on your blog, throughout your social media and everything, and then, you go in and you apply, for a job, and they talk, and they, want to search for you and who you are, and they see that you're talking to, all these great, industry leaders and everything. That's going to put you ahead, at least in my opinion, than people that are just, hey, I did this at my company, and now I want to apply over here. You can go, I did this at my company. I've learned from these, top, leaders in the industry, and now I want to use what I know and have learned into your company.
Absolutely. And that's why I agreed to do it when you asked me. I mean, obviously I'm flattered. But if I can help in any little way advance your cause, you're just another person that has proven that doing something guerrilla, which you're doing, guerrilla marketing is about, guerrilla means that you accomplish common objectives with uncommon tactics, as most basic form. And that's what you're doing. You're raising your profile by interviewing people that know a little bit about whatever it is that you want to interview them for. And you get caught up in that virtuous updraft, and away you go. It's brilliant. More power to you.
Yeah, and initially I was also going to ask you about your recommendations on writing a resume, but that is very detailed out in your book, and I would recommend that people go and buy your book to get that information.
Right?
What? The guerrilla resume, it would be your recommendation over how to write a resume, and I thought it was brilliant because it does stand out from all the traditional resumes, and it's more likely, to get a good look over. And I would suggest that people, buy the book to find out about it, or they can go to your website, which is, if I remember correctly, gm4jh.com.
Absolutely, yeah. GM like the car, the number 4 and JH.com. And there's an audio there that has been downloaded 500,000 times. It's an interview with another author, and it's free. People should take advantage of it.
And people, can go to your YouTube channel, because I looked it up, and you do have a YouTube channel, and you've gone through the resume and everything. I don't think there's anything within the last year on there.
No.
But, I went back and I looked at it, and you've put in, your full seminars, 6-part, videos of the seminars that you've done, or the speaking, about, the job hunting, and, how you lay out a resume and everything. And, and I will put links to your website and to your YouTube channel so people can see how you recommend the resume into the show notes. Okay. And then the last question that I want to, ask of you today is, what has been some of the worst advice and suggestions that, people have given, in the industry, or people have heard and taken, and, really backfired? What would you say is the worst?
So I actually sat down and thought about that, because I knew you were going to ask me that question. And the worst advice that is given consistently by friends, people who love you, is always don't aim so high. Followed by, if you don't follow it, who do you think you are? Okay? If you're going to take advice from someone, only take advice from someone who has been successful. Okay? Everybody has an opinion, Jacob. You know the rest of that line, and I'm not going to say it.
The cleaner version of that is opinions are like yesterday's.
Exactly. Okay, well, you know where I'm going with this. People who actually do things in life are rare, are very rare. And if you want to go somewhere in life and accomplish whatever it is you want to accomplish, be it financial, spiritual, I don't know, you need to have guidance, absolutely. But you need to take guidance from or advice from people who have been successful. Not people who tell you, well, I'm telling you this because I don't want you to fail, or it's for your own good. Okay? Surround yourself with people who are either like-minded or at least uplifting, and take their advice. And take advice, think about it, and then decide if you should act on it or not. Does it push you towards your goals, or does it keep you from going forward? We're doing this Put America Back to Work tour. I've been working on this for 5 years. I've had, I can't tell you how many people tell me that I'm nuts. I'm just finishing this off now, and I'm going to go out and raise $4 million. And I'm going to go across America, and I'm going to take anyone that wants to come to this event. 20,000 people are shot, and I'm going to teach you in a full day seminar how to get a job. And I'm going to have Ariana Huffington, Branson, Joel Osteen, a whole host of speakers come and talk. And this is part of the plan. And people have told me for the last 5 years, I'm insane. No, I'm not insane. I just see things a little bit differently. People said there's no jobs out there. Well, there are lots of jobs out there. We talked about it a little bit earlier. People have said, well, why would you want to do this? You're not even an American. And I've answered that question as well. And what do you think? Why do you think people would come and speak? Because I'm not going to pay the speakers. I'm not going to pay the speakers a dime until people start landing jobs. Why would people like Ariana Huffington or Joel Osteen or anyone else like that care? Because they do, and they care because it's funny. I grew up in the States. I grew up at the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, and I grew up in the United States Air Force Academy in the late 60s, early 70s. And when I grew up there, I would watch people. We were the only Canadians on the base, and only Navy people on the base as well. God, it's a long story. But I would watch people, my neighbors, on the weekend, get together and go out and build a school, or put up a church, or paint a church, or something like that. That was the America that I grew up in. I grew up at a time when everybody believed in community, and a man's word was his bond. And those are the principles that we're going to bring. Those are the principles I believe in, and I believe that most Americans believe in, and that's what we're going to bring back in this tour. And I believe that if we promise someone that they can get a job, they can come to this seminar, follow these instructions, get a job, and then when they're successful, send us money. I believe that everybody will. I believe that a man's word is still his bond. That's the America I grew up in. And I don't think we're too far from that, even though we've drifted over the last 20 years. And this is America, right? This is the country that won 2 world wars, put a man on the moon. And every generation of Americans has faced their trials and tribulations, and every single generation has raised, has raised up to fit that challenge. And this is no different. This is our challenge, and it's now time to put America back to work. And people are telling me I'm nuts. 5 years, I'm this close to launching, and I will do it, and I will be successful. And what I've done along the way, taking my own advice, is I've surrounded people who also believe that a man's word is his bond, and that we can do whatever we set out to do.
Well, Joel Osteen is a good person to team up with, and he's got a great message. He's got a great audience.
Great guy.
You're talking about, the Become a Better You and pastor of Lakewood Church, and so that is that's definitely a good person there to help and bringing people together and motivation, and and one of the things that you touched on could be somewhat summarized as surrounding yourself, create your own mastermind group, for job hunting.
Brilliantly put. Brilliantly put. We, for a couple of years when we started this thing, we ran boot camps for job hunters. And we'd have Monday morning marching orders. You'd get a set of instructions for what you had to do during the week, and then we'd have a mastermind on Fridays. And we'd have groups of 10 to 20 people. And even after you got a job, you weren't able to leave the mastermind until everybody had graduated. That was the commitment you had to make to get into this thing. And it was interesting. We had, we had quote unquote true believers, and we had absolute, never going to happen, won't work people join these boot camps, and we had a 94% success rate, over 5 years. That's really good. Because when people actually come together and find out that other people actually care about each other, and that they'll actually share in an open and honest environment. I mean, I don't want to, I'm a gorilla, I'm not a tree hugger, right? But I'm a pragmatist. Everybody has to believe in something besides themselves. And when people come together in a group like that and have problems and they share them, a problem over here is solved by someone over here who's either faced the same thing or looks at it a little bit differently. And that's all you're doing. So creating your own mastermind is absolutely critical. When we do this, Put America Back to Work, for example, if you want to come to the event, you actually have to go and apply. You have to be chosen. And to be chosen, you have to have 10 people. 10 people say Jacob deserves to go to one of these Put America Back to Work events. And I believe in him, and he will do the work and find a job. And one of those people has to become you get 10 sponsors, but one of those people has to become your boot camp or your job search buddy who will keep you on track. And all those people, all of a sudden when you do this, all of a sudden you surrounded yourself with this hive of activity and expectation, and all of it very positive. Which, and so when you face a situation that you can't handle or that you don't quite know what to do with, there are people that are going, well, try this, or try that, or try this. As opposed to most people when they go to these job search clubs, and I've been to enough of them to realize, I don't mean to cut anybody down, but job search clubs have become, by and large, pity parties. Oh, ain't it awful? It's so bad out there. Oh, yeah, ain't it awful? It's not awful. It's not awful.
So you want to make sure that when you do, these groups, these masterminds, these sponsorships, however you want to set it up, that you're making sure that you're setting it up with positive people who are just going to, grind into you to get it done, and stay away from anybody just wanting to do the pity party, woe is me. So you want to make sure you're very selective in who you surround yourself with.
Yeah. 2 world wars, put a man on the moon. Come on. 2 world wars we won, put a man on the moon.
Job hunting shouldn't be
This is not rocket science, right? It's not.
Okay, and so I'd like to thank you for taking the time on being on the show. And what is the best way for people to connect with you?
Well, if they want to get more information, the best thing to do is go to the website. There's 1,700 articles there, a lot of videos. A lot of it is, like 98% of it is free. And for most people, all they need to do is either listen to the audios, watch the videos, read a couple of the articles, and they'll get unstuck. So if you want more help, it's there as well. Go to the website, gmforjh.com. Start there.
Okay. And I would have held up a copy of your book because I thought it was great, but it's an e-book, and so all you would see is, just the screen. So, anyways, it's a really great book. I recommend everybody, go read it. It's filled with a lot of great resources, a lot of tactics, and it doesn't just fill you up with a bunch of fluff. It fills you up with executionable strategies.
Thank you very much. And on behalf of all the people that contributed to the book, there's about 40 recruiters who contributed anywhere from 400 to 1,000 words in the book. So it isn't just the ravings of one madman; it's the ravings of a complete collective of crazy people. So it's not just me. And their advice that they give away in the book, everything from Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, is invaluable. And the people that contributed are the best that there are in the business. We were very fortunate that they contributed their time to it.
Yeah, and I even watched the video on your YouTube channel, The Inspiration for the Coffee Cup Caper.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and so I thought that was, an interesting strategy. One of the, when I say executionable strategies of how to get the attention and how to not request the interview, but request a business meeting. and I thought that was, really great. Interesting how he came up with the coffee cup caper, as an idea. But that is all detailed out in the book, also on your YouTube channel, and your website stated as the best place to go to find out more information. And I'd like to thank you for your time, and I appreciate you coming on.
Jacob, thank you very much. Good luck in your search, and I want to hear about your success story soon.
Okay, thank you.
Wow, great interview. The information provided here has been priceless. And you won't be able to get this information anywhere else other than the book. And besides some of the tactics that we talked about in this interview, this book is full of a lot more tactics that you can use to get your resume past the HR pile and into the hand of the decision maker. Some of the other tactics are things like the coffee cup caper. If you don't know what that is, go back, or read the book and be able to figure out exactly how to pull that off in order to put yourself above the rest. I mean, the information that you learn from this interview and from this book will put your job searching effort above the rest. Now, below this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link to where you can get the book on Amazon, so you can get your copy today. And also, don't forget, if you love the content that you just heard, please subscribe to my channel and share this video with anybody you think can use some help in their job searching effort. I got more interviews lined up down the road here. I won't reveal who they are right now, but I got some exciting information coming along. And I will be producing some shorter videos. They're not all going to be 2-hour-long interviews here, but I will provide you with some, tutorials on how to use LinkedIn, how to use the search function, and how to use the advanced Google search to match up with your LinkedIn results in order to figure out who the decision maker is that you need to target. So, until next time, I hope your job searching effort has been taken to the next level, and don't forget to subscribe.